Broadcasting live from the Zimmer Communications World Headquarters.
Great news for the American people.
This is Wake Up Mid-Missouri with Branden Rathert, featuring Stephanie Bell, News Director Brian Houseworth, John Marsh, and Hannah, the producer.
This is why we listen to you.
Get ready, pal. And now, here's your host, Branden Rathert.
This is not some sweetheart deal.
Well, I don't think it was a sweetheart deal.
There's no indication that he's getting a special or a sweetheart deal.
So is this a sweetheart deal? No, it's not.
So it does not appear that this is a sweetheart deal.
The idea of throwing around these terms about slap on the wrist and probation traffic ticket, it's just not accurate.
They focus on this and say, oh my God, two-tier standard of justice. He got a sweetheart deal. And you're like, guys, I mean, you just sound like morons.
Morons. Name calling. There you go. Calling us names now. Hunter Biden, he did not get a sweetheart deal, and that is more as we continue our lessons on what has been the phrase of the year because of a 2,000% increase in searches for the phrase gaslighting. It's not just politicians, as we covered yesterday, when you have Corinne Jean-Pierre who comes out and says, listen, the American people feel good about things. They feel good about the economy and their financial situation. She is flat out lying, and we all know it. Gaslighting, trying to make you think that the reality is different than what the reality is. And the thing is, these people, these politicians, they get cover. It's like duck and cover. Steph, cover me. I'm going to try to run across the alley and get that dude. Will you cover me? And then Steph's got my back and she covers me. And then I run cover for these people. And that's the news outlets running cover for the progressives, for the Democrats. Hunter Biden did not get a sweetheart deal. That didn't happen. Meanwhile, pretty much every respected scholar when it comes to the legal dealings, specifically as it relates to politics, they're saying, yeah, this is a pretty sweetheart deal, man.
Yeah, a lot of people go away for tax evasion and some of the same things. So beyond just, and I don't know that it's really concluded whether the investigation is fully over or if it isn't, because if it is over, then not only did he get kind of a good deal on the counts we know about, but the fact that we're just done looking at all of these other things, I mean, that's
Again, I go back to that scene, Police Academy? Not Police Academy. Naked Gun, John. The Naked Gun movies with Leslie Nielsen. The first one where the tanker crashes into the fireworks factory. You remember
and
that
don't
scene?
Call me Shirley.
Yeah. And he's standing in front of this fireworks factory that just blew. And he's going, nothing to see here. Nothing to see here. Good morning. Welcome to the show. It's Wake Up Mid-Missouri. Here's Mr. John Marsh. How you doing today?
Good. How about you?
I'm doing all right. I'm excited. Coming up 8:10 this morning, this is a guy, actually, I guess, that kind of John Marsh introduced us to. What do you know about this Special Olympian, Charlie Phillips?
Charlie Phillips is like a world-class power lifter. He's out of, I think, Savannah, Missouri, and he was badly disabled from birth on, and they said he would never walk, and now he's come back from the Special Olympics World Games in Berlin with a box full of medals.
And this guy, he's taken like social media by storm. He was being interviewed by Tim Tebow, apparently gave him an epic interview. They came back to Missouri after the games, did a big parade for him. As a matter of fact, he had the opportunity to meet Chiefs coach Andy Reid. And he's being asked by Tim Tebow, what did he say to Andy Reid?
I told him that I'm an Eagles fan. And
Charlie Phillips told Andy Reid he's an Eagles fan. Charlie Phillips joins us this morning, 8:10 on Wake Up Mid-Missouri. I think that's one of those. And there's political stuff today, but it's things like that I think really matters. People like Charlie Phillips, feel-good story and what he's doing. He's living out his dream. He's here at 8:10. Raven Harrison, 7:10. Other things that matter this morning, Cosmo, who hosts a morning show on Y107, the Cosmo and Cat Morning Show. He did something really cool recently. It freaked a lot of people out here at the radio station, incidentally.
including our general manager.
Kind of got her attention that morning, didn't it?
So Cosmo, he hosts a morning show. It's a top 40 music station, and they did this little boy who's got some health issues, and Cosmo was able to get the police involved and the fire department, and this kid comes out, and so Cosmo, apparently he did not tell everybody here at the radio station, like, hey, I got the fire department coming, and I've got cop cars coming, and they're going to be on the radios and all this stuff.
Well, I don't think he knew that they were coming in that extent.
So this is all
not.
happening out in the parking lot, and like the general manager of Zimmer Communications rolls up early in the morning and sees fire trucks and cop cars and the ladders, and she's like, "What? My radio station's on fire." Anyhow, but he got some nice publicity on it, and I think it's one of those things. We do talk about politics and how they impact you and what this stuff means to you, but I think there's also like these feel-good things in life, I think, that matters too. There's Stephanie Bell.
Good morning.
I agree with that. I mean, we should do as news people. I'm not talking about hosts as news people, and I try to do more coverage of positive stories like that. I mean, and I will tell you flat out, I have tried to do a story on the young man you're talking about. I've been waiting for the fire chief to get back to me, Mr. Farr, with some details. I don't have the young man's name. So he told me he'd get in touch with me. He has not as of yet, but hopefully he will. But that was a positive story. This is a young man who's battling a brain tumor, and also is just a tremendous young man. And you could tell how much it meant to the firefighters and the police. The other thing I should mention about Charlie, you mentioned Charlie Phillips. He also volunteers for Meals on Wheels in a local food kitchen. So he's not just a great athlete, but just a really good human being. He helps a lot of other people.
Lives in Savannah, Missouri. It's I don't know. If you're in Kansas City, you hop on I-29, you cruise north about an hour, and there he is. He lives in. You know who else used to live in Savannah, Missouri?
I know Brad Lager, the senator, did at one time.
Eminem.
That's not.
Eminem.
No.
Yeah.
Really?
GTA. Well, that's what Wikipedia says.
Very
For what
interesting.
Wikipedia's worth. Yeah. So Eminem used to live here. He's here at 8:10. Some other things we are doing this morning. So much for picking conservative justices. We need a Republican president. They'll pick conservative justices, and they'll rule our way every single time. That's not happening, is it?
It was, people were fired up yesterday, although the liberals were not super excited about the decision either.
So this was a case that had to do kind of with states' rights. This has something that could impact elections.
It could impact elections. So the theory was this independent state legislature. A lot of folks are saying it's a novel theory or this out there theory, but essentially it's, who governs federal elections. So if there's a question, and a lot of it has to do with redrawing the maps. So here it was North Carolina, there was a congressional map drawn, and the argument was, well, the U.S. Constitution says that state legislatures set the time, place, and manner of federal elections. And so then people were challenging it. It was going to the state court, and they're saying, no, we get our power directly from the U.S. Constitution. So why are we going to the Missouri Supreme Court? Because we don't get our power from any sort of, state authority. It's directly from the U.S. Constitution. And so it is called the independent state legislature theory. So they're saying on this specific issue, we get a little bit more independence outside the courts. And the Supreme Court basically said, not exactly. That you do have a lot of leeway, but there's still court oversight here, and you can't just do whatever you want. And the decision didn't come down just straight conservative and liberal, as you might expect. There was also some arguments because in the interim, that North Carolina court changed. They elect much like Wisconsin, so the court changed. They actually had an opinion in the interim. And so there was also these arguments that the case was actually moot, that it shouldn't be heard. And there's all these exceptions to the mootness doctrine. And we don't have to go all the way down the line. But basically, if this is going to come up again, they encourage the court to still hear it and rule on the merits, which it did. But election litigation is has become pretty substantial. And so, it does say that, next time we have an election matter that the courts can step in. And even they have in the past, and the court kind of pointed to that. They said, look, in Bush v. Gore, this issue came up, and there was some discussion about whether the Florida Supreme Court could decide who would, decide the electors. And so it's not really a new concept, but it is the first time the Supreme Court has spoken on it in a while. There are other redistricting cases out there. I think in Ohio is the next one coming up that are bubbling up that we might see back at the Supreme Court. But I think the real import for me, and we've talked about this before, is, with the reversal of Roe v. Wade, they're kicking a lot of really important issues down to the states. And here what they're saying is, no, the states can say something about how we do federal elections. And so, that's why the Dems spent so much money electing justices in Wisconsin, and so if we're looking at where these big battles are going to be, state courts is where it's going to be at, I think.
So in effect, you're saying, does a state have the right to have control of an election that deals with federal issues? Each individual state. So it does get a little bit convoluted. So in this case in particular, it is interesting because just as many conservatives voted no as voted yes. We keep going, well, Trump picked all these conservative justices, and it's not just this. There's been several rulings that people are like, well, that's not the way you're supposed to rule because Trump picked you in the Republic. You're supposed to, and that's not how it works when you're a Supreme Court justice. But people are freaking out because that was the big thing. That was the big important thing with Donald Trump. 4 years, 3 justices. That was the big thing. We're set. Okay, Trump's not in office. Thank goodness we have all those people on the Supreme Court. That's not working out, man.
But really, both sides were mad because obviously conservatives are like, what is Amy Coney Barrett doing? What, I don't think they were that surprised by Roberts, but, what is happening here? But then also you heard the liberals say, they rejected like the most extreme interpretation of the independent state legislature theory, but they didn't completely reject it. So they left the door open and we're mad too. So, you hear before, when everyone's mad, did you really get like a good opinion? Maybe. But I saw, both sides were pretty displeased.
And the one thing that didn't happen yesterday, and we have a picture of this posted on the Wake Up Mid-Missouri Facebook page. Poor Hannah. Man, the show is over yesterday. We have this big green room where our guests hang out. We give them drinks. They watch TV. There's a picture. You got to check it out. It's kind of a cute picture. It's Hannah sitting there watching TV, monitoring her phone, waiting for a SCOTUS decision on the student loan repayment thing.
They duped me twice yesterday.
And her bank balance pulled up on her phone.
There was the big breaking news on the Chiron. Both times it was not student loan stuff. Not student loans.
Still waiting on that. By the way, John, we were talking about Charlie Phillips, a special Olympian who's taking social media by storm from Missouri, and he's joining us at 8:10. He was talking about the opportunity to see the Lombardi Trophy and meet Andy Reid, coach of the Eagles, coach of the Chiefs. He told Andy Reid he was a Chiefs fan. And the Lombardi Trophy right here in mid-Missouri yesterday. We still able to see that?
Yeah, 11-3 in the Capitol Rotunda. You can take the kids and head over there and get your picture taken with the Lombardi Trophy. It's in a big plexiglass thing, but you can get right up and personal with it. Pretty darn cool.
Stephanie, we're getting ready for the daily D.C. rundown. I wanted to highlight this.
Penultimate question, Mayor. Will you be talking about the Uyghurs in your campaign?
So, Francis Suarez, mayor of Miami, says he's running for president. He's being asked by a radio host, what are you going to be talking about? The Uyghurs. His response, can we cover that in the daily D.C. rundown? Among other things, because I'm running out of time.
Are you hijacking her segment?
Yes.
Okay, I'm sorry.
And we will talk about that.
All right, what else we got in the daily DC rundown?
Well, yesterday I think we talked about typos, but we really talked about texts maybe you wish you could take back. McCarthy yesterday said something.
Uyghurs in your campaign?
What, the what?
The Uyghurs.
What's a Uyghur?
Okay, we'll come back to that. You won't be. You got to get smart on that. Let me talk to you a little bit of
Francis Suarez, the mayor of Miami. Remember a couple of weeks ago when he said, hey, I'm going to run for president too, right after Trump was here. And remember the reaction from everybody here in the United States of America when Francis Suarez said, I'm running for president? Everybody said, who? Doing what? That's getting us into today's Daily DC Rundown with Stephanie Bell. Now, I don't know. There's nobody, listen, nobody's going to vote for this guy anyway, except for maybe some family members, a few folks in Miami that like him, but nobody's going, well, I was going to vote for Suarez, but he totally buffed that Uyghurs question.
The question is, can you spell it? It's a difficult one. But he might be subject to some of the same criticism I've heard about DeSantis. You know, as a mayor, you deal with completely different issues than state issues or the issues like international issues that the president would have to deal with. And that's some of the criticism that I've heard about DeSantis is, look, he's doing great on the state level, but he's never really had to face some of these international relations issues. And he's ill-prepared on that front. Now, I'm not saying that I agree with that, but that is one of the criticisms that I've heard.
And you know what's interesting is, we look at every other president in history that had previously elected to office, except for one who legitimately, at least in my lifetime, except for Reagan, probably when it comes to policy, protecting America's interest in the economy, the best president never held elected office prior to being elected to the presidency in 2016.
There is some big McCarthy news out yesterday. Now, he was in the news last week, if you recall, and even a couple weeks ago. He kind of thwarted an attempt by Representative Boebert out of Colorado to impeach President Biden. She keeps trying to put this resolution forward, and he made a deal to kind of keep that at bay. At the same time, he said, look, I'm all in favor of expunging these 2 impeachments for Donald Trump, siding with folks like Marjorie Taylor Greene and saying, I'm all in for Trump. And then yesterday, he went on TV and had a boo-boo.
Do you think he could win an election? Could he win an election?
Can he win that election? Yeah, he can.
You think he can?
The question is he the strongest to win the election? I don't know that answer.
Oh, there it is. How did that go over?
Like a lead balloon. The Trump people are apparently really mad, and he so mad that he has already tried to walk it back in several formats. Apparently, he talked to Breitbart. He sent out his own fundraising emails, and everything is very bizarrely worded to try to take that back. He's blaming he's like, well, they tricked me. That's the media's fault. I didn't really mean it. But apparently the Trump people are not very happy about that comment yesterday.
Ouch, Kevin McCarthy. Kind of a rough ride in his first 5 months Speaker of the House.
That's saying it lightly. All right. Also, I think this would be a weird position for a governor. So yesterday, Georgia Governor Brian Kemp had to do like a big ribbon cutting, and his state is one of the hot spots now for EV investment. And there is a new company investing $800 million. I think it's in batteries. And so, they come, you're like, yes, I'm the governor. I want jobs. I want money. I want all of these things. But at the same time, and so Georgia has become a top beneficiary of this EV investment, 40 electric vehicle related projects. So you have to say rah, rah, but at the same time, you're like, but I don't agree with EVs, but I'll take your money. So he had some things to say about Biden and his EV policy, saying, hey, this guy should not be taking credit for anything. These businesses are coming to Georgia because, Georgia's a great place to do business and because of our state policies. That angered some people. But you couldn't just stand on the stage and be like, I love EVs.
That is a weird position. And it's twofold. He's like, I'm not on board with the EVs, but man, they're dumping billions of dollars in my state because that's where we're going. We're going to electric cars. That's what's going to happen. They're going to make it work one day, and I do not like it. But I'll take that as a fact. And by the way, and this wasn't Biden, this was us doing this, even though we don't like it. It's crazy. Good morning.
I think just local news is like the most important stuff.
react to that?
I mean, I feel like her approval ratings say everything that we need to know.
Very tactful. Marsh, what about you as a dude?
Oh, anybody can be vice president, but not with those kind of dismal approval ratings. Man, oh man.
I mean, how can you hate the vice president? It's just like, meh. You know, like, I think for the most part, like, Mike Pence, you're like, is he doing a good job? I don't even know what that guy does. Like, when he's the vice president, I think most people are like, I don't know what he's supposed to be doing.
Remember what a boob they thought Dan Quayle was?
Well, he was.
Yeah, he was.
But it's like whenever Mike Parson was lieutenant governor, and he'd come on the show, he's like, Lieutenant Governor Parson.
Like, people would be like, who?
Yeah, right. And he would, people didn't know his responsibility is he went over to the governor's mansion. He'd say, Eric, you alive today? All right, good. You good? Cool. I'm going fishing. I'm taking the day off. But then lieutenant governor, vice president, kind of that same thing. Kamala Harris, that's a record lowest net approval rating of any vice president in polling history. These numbers are stunning. We'll do that 7:10 with Raven Harrison here this morning on Wake Up Mid-Missouri. Olympian Charlie Phillips, special Olympian Charlie Phillips is hanging out with us at 8:10. He's taking social media by storm. We love this kid. I love it. He was on ESPN chatting with Tim Tebow. And he had the opportunity. He's from Savannah, Missouri, town of about 5,000 people, kind of nestled up. You get on I-29, Kansas City, about an hour north of Kansas City, and there you are in Savannah, along with about 5,000 other people. He had an opportunity to meet Andy Reid, head coach of the Kansas City Chiefs, and here's what he said about that.
I told him that I'm an Eagles fan, and
I love that. I'm an Eagles fan. He's here at 8:10 this morning. And by the way, we can still catch the Lombardi today, Marsh.
11-3, Capitol Rotunda. Yep, you can get up close and personal with the Chiefs Lombardi Super Bowl trophy.
Stoked about that. Welcome into the show. It's Wake Up Mid-Missouri. There's Stephanie Bell, producer Hannah, John Marsh, Brian Hausworth. I am Branden Rathert. Something we can do for you, 874-9390, 874-9390. Want to highlight some of this stuff. We're going to take a little bit of a right-hand turn here on the show. The politics, all right. Joe Biden's still president. Finances still suck. Kamala Harris, record low approval ratings. Going to be hot today.
When you put it that way.
Right. All the bridges are up. Did we cover all the big stuff today, Hannah?
So far, so good.
Feds might actually be getting closer to getting something on Hunter Biden. I say that because I'm watching with bated breath as more the liberal news outlets like CNN and MSNBC. All of a sudden, this stuff's been going on for years, and now all of a sudden they're like, hey, there's some stuff going on with Hunter Biden. And we're all like, yeah, welcome to the party, CNN. Been going on for a while. So those are some of the things happening. But I want to highlight some of these other things that really matter. And to me, it's things like can you make other people feel good? Can you inspire other people? Can you make other people smile? Today, we've got some really good friends work at our Top 40 station. Work, I should say. They hang out on our Top 40 station. None of us work here. Seriously, we are blessed. We get to come in and we do this, and apparently Zimmer puts some money in our bank accounts every month, and it's just kind of like, wow. Really cool. But it's Cosmo and Kat. Cosmo and Kat, Y107 morning show, happen to be married, which is how, let me ask you this, by the way.
Oh, boy, here we go.
And I'm going to start with Kat.
Is this an intervention that I didn't know about? Is that what's going on?
No, Branden loves to give marriage advice, even though he hasn't had the best track record.
That's okay. Let's go. Let's hear it. Let's go.
Kat, listen, here's the thing. It's like if you go deep sea fishing, do you want to go with a guide who's been deep sea fishing in rough waters once? Or do you want to go with a guide who's been out there more than once?
I'm going to go with the guy who's been out there more than once because I'm a girl who's been out there more than once. So,
but he was only out there for like 5 minutes each time.
No, you sank the boat twice. You went to the bottom of the ocean twice.
Look, I fish with a boat that I use a PlayStation controller on, so that's not good. Oh, too soon?
I sank the boat and then went down to try to save that marriage with a submersible. Here's the thing with marriage. So I've done it.
Maybe an edible would be better. How about that?
So I've done it twice. So I think that I have more experience than somebody who's only been married once.
Sure.
I've done this more than Stephanie Bell.
I thought we were going to talk about Jaden.
We are.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I got to ask you this first. What's it like working with your spouse?
It actually isn't.
Hold on, Cosmo, leave the room and let me re-ask the question.
This is not Maury Povich show. Come on.
Seriously, what's it like working with your spouse?
Springer. It is really no different than like our normal, ordinary life.
So he orders you to do stuff around the house, too, is what you're saying.
And I laugh at him and say, I'll see you when you're done doing that. No.
And what's it like for you?
It's been, well, I mean, our relationship has been unique from the jump for the 8 years we've been together because it's been distanced because after my divorce, my kids were younger. And so when we met, she was in O'Fallon. I was here in Columbia. And so we've kept, and so we're together 3-4 days a week. Some weeks it's one, some weeks it's none. And back and forth over the years. And now, because of this, since December, since she became the co-host, now we see each other and are together even more.
Is that changing the dice?
Yeah.
So hold up.
No,
but
it's
you can see our guests.
It's great.
You can watch the show on our YouTube channel, Wake Up Mid-Missouri, also on our Facebook page. So the relationship for 8 years worked really well because you guys had distance. now
there is a big difference now. Yes.
Now, not only are y'all married, and now you're working together too. Has that changed the dynamics of the relationship
for the better? Honestly, because she's, I mean,
dude, I've been knowing
that's the answer you want. Get out of here.
Don't sling me any crap. I want you to be honest.
Well, we've always had like our own little back and forth banter and our own show, so to speak, anyway, just because we're like male and female version of each other. But as far as the like being together more, there's definitely more aggravation. We're snippy at each other more.
I mean, that's the usual.
With owning the trolleys in downtown Jeff City, do you and your husband kind of work?
Yeah, we work together. It's been a challenge. It's kind of a fun challenge. But I was going to say it's probably industry specific too, because like radio hosts are fun. So like I could see that dynamic being fun. I've always said like I would never want to be married to another lawyer. So if my husband worked with me and we were both lawyers, like I don't think that's a good dynamic.
Oh, yeah.
Not because of him, but because of two lawyers. Nope.
So I haven't told Cosmo or Kat this, but I can attest to their bickering.
You can hear some of the stuff through the channels, yeah.
So there was one morning it was blasting from our engineering room, and I didn't know how to turn the volume down on it, so I just very quietly shut my door and just let it happen.
Yep.
I want to say something here. Did you notice, though, when I asked Cosmo and Kat, host Y107 Morning Show, the very guarded, careful answers they gave about working together and what it's like? And, oh, it's beautiful. And then I asked Stephanie, whose spouse is not in the room, did you hear the difference in the answers?
I still have to go do 3 more hours of a morning show with her. So anyways.
And I don't know if it's a challenge because of my husband, but I've never owned, I own a trolley business. I can't drive the trolleys. I can't, I've never been in transportation. So, it might be personalities or it might be just a challenge of running a business.
Something really cool happened. And these, we talk politics and we talk the economy, things like that. We talk about poor water pressure in parts of Columbia and what's happening there. We're talking about the heat, but we talk about, I think, things in life that matter. Young kid named Jaden. Tell us the story of Jaden and what you guys did.
He's 12, and he's battled cancer for 7 years of his 12. With a couple different tumors situations, and they thought things were better, and then they got word that not so much. And the doctors pretty much pulled mom and the boys or the girls aside, his sisters, and said, "Time to start making memories." Not saying that it's a death sentence, but start making memories. And so, in between a trip down to St. Jude's and Children's Hospital here, they decided to make a bucket list. And he just started throwing everything at this list. Everything from come hang on the Cosmo and Kat show on Y107 to meet Nickelback. What 12-year-old even knows what Nickelback is?
That's great.
But, I know. Go up in a hot air balloon. Be a firefighter for a day. Be a cop for a day. Throw out a first pitch at a Cardinal game. All this stuff, right? So you're going down this list. Learn to surf. All these things. And so many of them were attainable. They weren't like crazy, like ride in the space shuttle or, do some big, be president.
Meet the Pope.
Go to a Taylor Swift concert.
Yeah, well, that's impossible to pull off.
Right.
You'd have a better chance of meeting the Pope.
Or go watch Matt Rife.
So I'm like, you know what? This is easy. Let's get him on the show and make it happen. Boom. So we did. And then I reached out to our friends at the Columbia Fire Department and Chief Farr, and they pulled up in a fire truck that morning. And so that's what we knew was going to happen, was the fire truck, right? Well, the police department gets a call from the chief. They heard the radio. They show up. Officer Williams comes out with a police car. And because of that broadcast, then we found out that another connection, a friend of mine who used to work with Columbia College Athletics, has a connection to the Cardinals, who has a connection to the Cardinals even more. And now Jaden's throwing out the first pitch of the Cubs game in July.
Yeah.
So it's just snowballed, and we're working on Carson on Y107. We're this close to getting him Nickelback tickets and seeing if the band will be cool to get him backstage and whatever. So
I also I want to thank KRCG TV for doing a story
Oh my
on
gosh.
this, because number one, it's really good press for you guys. No, it's a good
I didn't even know that. I didn't even know
Yeah.
they did the story until you told me
Yeah.
yesterday morning that it was up on the KRCG did that story.
And I think I applaud them for doing it, not because it's about Zimmer, but because it's a feel good story. It's local. Kat, what was your favorite part in all of that?
Oh man, my favorite part was he's also autistic, and my youngest is autistic, so that part really hit me in the heart. And so I had like a massive lump in my throat, tears in my eyes the whole time, just because I knew the joy he was feeling inside, even though he couldn't really express it very well. And that just being able to see him have a fantastic time like that.
And if you've ever dealt with people that are autistic, and like especially when it comes to positive emotions, when you know that they're experiencing that and they can't express it, that is interesting.
Well, and it was just because we knew the fire. We thought, our building next door to the hotel. I told the chief on the phone. I said, you could park it in that lot. The lot is pretty much all yours at 8 a.m. But no, they backed it into the front of our radio station, right? And put him in the bucket truck and put him in the turnout gear and the helmet and the tanks and the whole 9 yards. And I let several people know in the building. I did not inform Carla Lively, our main boss, who had
Tell us how that
idea.
went.
She about had a heart attack.
So by the time Carla got to work, ladder 1 is in our parking lot. The bucket is up 75 feet in the air. There's a police vehicle with its lights going in the parking lot, and she comes down Lamone, turns left, goes to pull in the lot, and thinks her building that she's in charge of is on fire, or someone's getting arrested, or whatever.
By the way, both of the above have probably happened here before, so there is some precedent. All right, we got. I love what you guys do. Cosmo and Cat, Y107 morning show. Story KRCG has picked up something really cool they've done for Jaden, basically making some dreams come really true.
And we're gonna get you a couple of the videos if you want to share some of the other videos that we got of Jaden the day of with Officer Williams and
when can we all come hang? You've been here for 10 minutes. When do we get some coverage on the Y107 morning show?
Oh,
is this you're playing the political rules? Like you give one candidate 5 minutes, you got to give everybody 5 minutes. Is that how this works? Is that what's going on?
Well, Cosmo, Branden used to do Top 40 radio
I know.
back in the day.
Sixpence none the richer.
Oh, hey.
The Hot Talk 93.9. It's 6:50, 10 minutes away from 7 o'clock.
Do you have that?
Oh, gosh.
Hannah?
Not handy, but I can find it.
Oh, man.
I don't have it either.
Awesome.
Love you guys. Thanks for what you're doing.
Love you guys. Thanks
Britney
for having
Spears
us.
up next on Eagle.
Coming up, a few minutes from now, reaction to this story.
how many years are we going on? How many years have you been making this audio montage? They're going to have it, and 6 years later, you're going to be like, today's the day Hunter Biden is finally going down. But he's already gotten away with so much. So much of it didn't come out during the campaign when I thought it would. I would have thought they would have gotten him by now. They have his computer. I mean, so they have the text messages. They have the photos. They have, all of this. And still nothing? I'm not holding my breath, I don't think.
Well, we'll see. That's where I am today. Welcome to the show. Wake Up Mid-Missouri. Steph, John, there's producer Hannah. My name is Branden, 874-9390. Some of the other things we have for you this morning. Things in life that matter today. So much for picking conservative justices to rule with a conservative hand on cases. And Musk versus Zuckerberg. Now the moms are getting involved, man. I can't wait for that. So late night television. This story makes me think, because I saw producer Hannah's reaction to this yesterday. Pat Sajak, 41 years, leaving the Wheel of Fortune show I used to watch occasionally as a kid. I know Pat's been there forever. But they named a new co-host. But here's what struck me about this, John, was Hannah's reaction. Like, everybody was really, like, this was a thing yesterday. I'm like, we're getting excited that we have a replacement for Pat Sajak.
No, I was cackling because it's hilarious that they picked this guy.
Okay.
Same. I saw your reaction, and it was my exact reaction.
John, you?
Yeah, right there. Old radio guys doing TV, huh?
Ryan Seacrest replacing Pat Sajak, and I guess folks are excited.
I just can't picture Ryan and Vanna together. I don't know. Weird.
He was 8 when that show started, by the way.
I was going to say, he probably couldn't even tell you what the vowels are.
What is happening? Broadcasting live from the Zimmer Communications World Headquarters.
Great news for the American people.
This is Wake Up Mid-Missouri with Branden Rathert, featuring Stephanie Bell, News Director Brian Houseworth, John Marsh, and Hannah, the producer.
This is why we listen to you.
Get ready, pal. And now, here's your host, Branden Rathert.
We begin tonight with the bombshell. Donald Trump is in a lot of trouble. Trump is in trouble.
The president will resign.
Another hour, another bombshell.
This is a tipping point.
Trump's going down.
This president could be impeached.
I do not think the president will serve out his term. Resignation. I don't think this president is going to serve out his term. Mr. Trump will not serve out his term. He will not serve out his term. No way.
All right, so we heard that for 7 or 8 years to Stephanie's point a few minutes ago, because I was wondering aloud, I feel like And I base this, here's what I base this on. I see some more of the national news outlets starting to, because they ignored the Hunter Biden stuff. Remember, the New York Post got in trouble. New York Post got yanked from Twitter because of the whole Biden thing, and turns out it was all true. So you can see how hard these national news outlets, they run cover. They help the Democrats, they help the progressives with the gaslighting of you, the American folks, man. But we heard that for years, and Stephanie's been funning me this morning when it comes to the Hunter Biden stuff.
I think there's a liberal radio station out there clipping every time you say the walls are closing in. I think today might be the day. There's something coming. And 2 years from now, I mean, he's just gotten away with so much. There's so much evidence against him that I don't see it coming for him.
Want to bring in Raven Harrison. You see her on Fox all the time. She does some incredible stuff. RavenHarrison.com. Raven, do you agree with Stephanie's assessment there that they might be poking fun at me now because I'm coming on and saying maybe they got something on Hunter?
Well, take it as a badge of honor. You should get T-shirts. But yes, they should. You know, they've been doing this, but I think this is really a testament of how we are awake to the gaslighting. We are keeping this story alive. The mainstream media may choose to ignore it, but like again, justice dies in the dark. So you got to carry a big flashlight. Hunter is still in the news because they can't ignore it if we don't let this die.
John, do you get a sense? Do you feel like we're seeing more of this in some of the other news outlets that we typically don't see it in?
I think it's headed that way. I don't know how much we're seeing in those outlets. I think, Raven would probably weigh in on that one.
Yeah, you're not going to see it. Remember, this is a credibility issue. They ran on this. We could all see. This was the ultimate gaslight. We could all see that, Joe Biden was in his basement. They said that the laptop was misinformation. And Joe, that's the best guy I know. Sad part is that's probably true.
Yeah.
So we've seen this unfold, but the guy who turned the laptop in, they tried to say no. They pressed this guy, and he didn't break. He kept up, and the other alternate real news sources said no. We are not going to let this drop, and that's where we are today. We still have a lot of work to do, though, because 2 days before the testimony came out about the whistleblowers on Hunter Biden, he made a deal, for a slap on the wrist. And then went to dance the night away with Merrick Garland.
Mm-hmm. And then it's interesting because we talk about the gaslighting. We covered this yesterday. I think a thorough lesson, Gaslighting 101, the most searched phrase in 2022, according to Merriam-Webster Dictionary. The gaslighting yesterday, Karine Jean-Pierre, White House coming out saying Americans feel good about the economy. That's gaslighting. That's trying to make you believe an alternate reality. That's what happens in abusive relationships, and that is the treatment we're getting from the White House every day. Raven Harrison hanging out with us this morning. Let's Wake Up Mid-Missouri. There's Stephanie Bell.
Good morning.
That's producer Hannah.
Hello.
Marsh is here.
Good morning.
Brian Houseworth running around somewhere, too. My name is Branden Rathert. And Raven, I think with that, you said we got to keep pushing. They keep pushing. There's a couple of other stories this morning. For example, there's supposed to be a big party at Google in San Fran, and they were doing a big drag show for the employees. And there were enough employees said, no, I know we're in San Francisco. I work for Google. Not doing a drag show. They canceled the drag show. They're starting to push. There's starting to be people pushing back on that. Bud Light, we have a story from USA Today, by the way, saying Bud Light, they're giving their beer away for free. They're just giving it away. They can't get people to buy it. They are, in effect, giving it away for free. And I think that ties into what you're saying. Listen, it gets frustrating sometimes when we see some of the nonsense that happens around us. But if we want to hold on to some very simple conservative ways of life here in mid-Missouri, keep pushing, keep pushing, keep pushing. And you're traveling. What you do? Where are you today, and what are you doing?
We are in Galveston, Texas. today. We were at a pro-life group, but I want to hit on that point, Brandon. You are exactly right. We were in Florida recently, both on the book tour and following what was happening and unfolding with President Trump. We did some reconnaissance on the ground. We have not gone to a single gas station, truck stop, store that has Bud Light missing. They are stocked on all the shelves. You know, they're saying, you know, they're not even reporting accurately the numbers, but what people don't realize, they're going to lose their place. They have premium shelf space, but people aren't buying it. And see, that's what people need to hang on to. Disney, we went and checked some of these others. We looked around and nothing but Pride stuff in the stores, and nobody is buying it. So they're pushing you that everybody's accepting this, but people have had enough. Just like if you try to cram too much food down anything, what happens to it? You regurgitate it. That's what's happening. Now the American people are saying we are tired of having this agenda, this narrative crammed down our throat. We're not going to take it.
I was in Lynn the other day, and because, you know, you see the pictures. Hey, we've even seen video from like from Fenway. They had the Bud Light line. Nobody was there. The employees just standing
That's
around.
right.
And then I think sometimes Fox, oh, look at these empty, look at the shelves. The beer all gone except Bud Light is full. I stopped at a gas station in Lynn here in mid-Missouri Friday, because I just want to see for myself. It's easy to go and find the picture I want to pose my narrative and post it out there. I was at a gas station in Lynn. I'm like, oh my gosh. So it's Friday night, it's about 8 o'clock, and so, you know, town is hopping and everything, and you can see a lot of beer missing from the beer coolers. Bud Light completely stacked. I want to make this qualifier real quick before we get on to the next thing with Raven. I do hope our local distributors of Bud Light, I want them to be okay. This is not their fault. Bud Light, as a matter of fact, they've been having to give money to the district. Like, here you go, our bad. We are so sorry, man. Raven Harrison, RavenHarrison.com, joining us on the show. I've been listening with fascination some of these Supreme Court cases that our lawyer friend Stephanie Bell's been breaking down for us. One of the things that strikes me, and there was the case yesterday regarding the legislative theory.
The independent state legislature.
Thank you, Stephanie.
Yes.
And just as many conservative justices voted in favor as did against. There's been a couple of cases. It seems like, you know, hey, Trump was great. He picked three conservative candidates. But they're not always ruling, I think, the way that we would expect them. Have you been surprised by that?
I think I was surprised the first time as a strategist of seeing this, because it was really something that conservatives were excited about, but they didn't even get the Roe versus Wade case out, you know, after that. It came out when Biden is tipping it with a woman who says she doesn't know what a woman is. You know, she's not a biologist and apparently, you know, not a scholar either. But that's what you're seeing is after Trump stood for Kavanaugh, and what they did to him was relentless. Same with Barrett, Justice Barrett. But what I'm seeing is a Supreme Court that is refusing to take on these tough cases. You know, that saying, you had one job, you know, and they don't want to seem to go near the tough cases. They're taking some light softball cases, and then the real controversial cases, they're dividing our country. They're going nowhere near, or they're voting with a Democrat. So this is indicative of the swamp. It's something we need to look at, a reverse term limit thing. These people are getting into office when they're late in age, and they've got lifetime appointments. You know, RGB, we didn't even see her the last 2 years of her, you know, her tenure. And it's just something that needs to be revisited. But I believe it is an illusion. I don't believe there is an illusion that that there's a reality that they are voting conservative. I believe they are going on whichever side the wind is blowing, with a few exceptions.
Any predictions then on student loans?
I do not believe they will be able to hold up on the student loans. I believe that's a pet project and a wish list of the Biden economy, but this economy is terrible. This is gaslighting. You're asking people who are going to grocery stores and looking at empty shelves and have their 401k going the way of the Titanic to believe that everything is great, and you want to give money to people who willfully took out student loans and don't want to pay them back. If you got a degree in Harry Styles and you're regretting it, then my suggestion is that you go back
Would you guys quit looking at me like that?
Poor Raven, you gotta watch. So you can watch the show on our YouTube channel. It's Wake Up. Just go to YouTube, search Wake Up Mid-Missouri. You can watch on the Wake Up Mid-Missouri Facebook page. Poor producer Hannah, who's been on the show here for 5 years, Raven. She's a college grad a couple of years ago, ag degree at Mizzou. And and people get so mad at Hannah. This has nothing to do with Hannah. And every time, and you just blistering words there on this potential SCOTUS decision coming out in the next few days regarding student loan repayment. And we're all just leering at Hannah.
The whole time you're talking, Raven, both Brandon and Stephanie are just staring at me going,
Well, yeah, as soon as I said Harry Styles, they gave you, sorry about that, Hannah. But no, I've got nothing against Harry Styles. I've just never heard. I think that would be as productive as a degree in me. So, of telling you, but this is where we are, of that you're asking, the precedent is to ask the American taxpayers to foot the bill for a voluntary choice made by, someone of age. They're of age to vote in some cases, but you are saying that, they have this useless degree that they want to use, and we should start their professional career out by telling them it's okay. You took out this loan, you went and got the services. So, I mean, it's just unreal. I mean, we've got Biden. I would love 4 years of my money back.
Amen. All right. We got to move forward. Raven Harrison, please check out her website, ravenharrison.com. You're listening to Wake Up Mid-Missouri. I'm going to guess you're going to like some of what Raven Harrison is doing on her website. She does stuff for Fox. Working on coming to Mid-Missouri. We're working on that soon. Real quick before we let you go, when you're not politicking, Raven, what are you doing, like in your spare time?
I don't think I'm ever not politicking, but I basically homeschool the kids now because that's the premise of the book. Is my daughter was expelled from school at 8 years old for voting for Trump in a mock election. So we pulled her out of school, but we've been traveling the country on our book tour. We've been letting these kids see what America really is. They're putting their hands in the dirt. They're seeing what's out there. They're talking to real people. That's what I do most of the time. But we travel, we take care of our family, and we basically show them what they need to be fighting for, how to appreciate America, all of it.
We need to talk about that story with your daughter and how it came to be homeschooling. And I bet you could offer us some incredible homeschooling tips in one of our future visits. Raven Harrison, ravenharrison.com. Thank you for your time. We'll look forward to seeing you next time.
Looking forward to it.
Coming up, what's hot with Hannah this morning?
There's a new condiment coming to a ballpark near you this summer, and it just shouldn't happen.
Nope. That's how we're reacting to what's hot with Hannah. It's coming up at 7:25-ish.
This is
Good morning, 7:25-ish, which means it's
7:25.
time for What's Hot with Hannah.
You know, I wish this morning we were discussing the student loan decision from SCOTUS. One way or the other. I do care. But I just wish they'd go ahead and get off the pot. You know what I mean?
You want it to be over with. We want some resolution to this, John. We all do. For the benefit of Hannah, we just want some resolution.
Well, especially since I know what the answer is probably going to be, so it's just delaying the inevitable.
There you go.
Today's story comes to us courtesy of John Marsh, the newsman, the legendary newsman, John Marsh.
Digging deeper and deeper with every passing newscast.
We're talking about Cola Chup, which is probably the least catchy name I've ever heard for a product in my life. But Pepsi yesterday announced that they are launching a new condiment, and it's going to be in 4 of the Major League Baseball stadiums. They've partnered with the Culinary Institute of America, and they basically made a ketchup that has actual Pepsi in it. And they're trying to promote the fact that Pepsi goes well with hot dogs.
Nope. You were right, by the way, in your assessment 10 minutes ago.
Yeah.
Nope.
I think this is almost as bad as the Oscar Mayer popsicles from last summer. Do you remember those?
Yeah.
They launched like a hot dog flavored frozen popsicle.
Oh, that's worse.
You think so?
Oh, yeah. Ugh.
I don't think either one is good.
Put a little of this on the frozen hot dog thing.
There you go. Aren't there people who like dip French fries in weird things anyway and stuff? Like, don't people dip French fries in drinks sometimes and like
milk? I've seen that.
In milk?
In
See,
milk.
I've seen milk
Mayonnaise.
shakes.
Yeah, mayonnaise isn't bad.
No.
Like an aioli. There are some things that are just classics, right? That just don't, like ketchup is one of those things. It's chock full of sugar. Don't try to make it healthier. Don't, doctor it up. I like French fries dipped in barbecue sauce personally.
This one's really doctored, didn't it, Hannah?
Pretty much.
They haven't exactly added Dr. Pepper yet, but I'm sure that's coming next, John. Blech.
Yeah, my nephews, they're twins, and they're not quite 2 years old, and they've recently discovered ketchup. And if you give them a little bit of ketchup, they don't really eat the food that they're dipping into the ketchup. They really just end up eating the ketchup by
I have
itself.
seen the full spoonful of ketchup just straight in my daughter Amelia loves ketchup.
Didn't Ronald Reagan get in trouble for labeling ketchup as a vegetable in the school lunch program or something?
It's
Very likely.
It's not great. I mean, I didn't realize till I was well into my adulthood exactly how much sugar is in ketchup. But yeah, it's you might as well just, throw a pixie stick on there too at that point.
Well, I think Heinz makes a mayo chup where you can buy mayo and ketchup mixed together in the same bottle.
It's called Thousand Island dressing.
Yeah, secret sauce.
My kids have recently discovered Chick-fil-A sauce that you can get it at the grocery store, and that's all they dip everything in now.
There is a knockoff version of that too that's way cheaper that tastes the exact same.
Well,
I'm wondering if so I was in a grocery store the other day in kind of a rural area, and they had like the discount. So think about like a Piggly Wiggly in northwest Missouri, like almost Iowa.
Do they still have those?
In the middle of a cornfield.
Deep South.
And at this Piggly Wiggly in northwest Missouri, in the middle of a cornfield by Iowa, they have a discount section at this grocery store out in the middle of nowhere. Like stuff that's been discontinued like 8 years ago, but they're still selling it for. And they had like there was all kind like mayo chup and all these different flavorings of stuff.
That stuff is so processed, I don't think it ever goes bad.
Probably not. Coming up a few minutes from now here on the show. be hot, and here's why. I guess in my estimation, we talk about there's heat, and it's across a good portion of America. You got wildfires in Canada, smoke affecting New York, Minneapolis, and Chicago today. Might even get some of that cover here in mid-Missouri, and here's why. It's July almost. Summertime, and it gets hot sometimes here in Missouri. I remember, I think it was 1981, we had an incredible heat wave in Missouri. It's like across the entire country. I remember every single day, and you only had 4 channels back in the day, and we were living up on top of a little hill in a town called Farr, Missouri, Farrar, population 64, and we lived up on top of a big hill, and at the bottom of the hill there was this pig pen or whatever, and it had like 100 hogs in it. And about August, it smelled really nice there where we lived. And this heat wave, it was just endless. And it went on for days, 80 or 81. Houseworth probably knows better than me.
1980 for sure.
1980.
Yes.
It was insane. And nobody said, climate change, global warming. Here's what they said on the TV. They said, it's July. It's summer. That's what happens.
It was 1980, and before that, there were 80 was a really bad year. A lot of St. Louis specifically, and all over the state of fatalities. 1953 and 54, right here in mid-Missouri and in St. Louis, all over the state. People, it was so hot in St. Louis, 117 degrees. People actually slept in Forest Park. You probably couldn't do that today, but they had to. And then 1936, right in the middle of the Great Depression, was by far the worst. So we're talking about, and they didn't talk about climate change, but it was 1936, and they were over, I think the National Weather Service just said this week, over 100 degrees, 58 times was some astronomical amount. Of course, people were all poor. They didn't have jobs. So it's just, hopefully we don't have anything like that, but it is hot, and nonetheless, it is tough for people too.
It's also relative. So I'm trying to look at the bright side in that, like, it's going to be over 100 this week, which on the actual 4th, it's only going to be 96. So it's going to feel like a cool front coming in.
That's how it's done.
Early next week.
Be optimistic,
but you're right, Brandon. I mean, I remember my sister, the worst 4th of July I can remember, we were like fundraising for her AAU basketball team, and we rented like a trailer, and we had to be inside it, and we were serving like drinks and food at the 4th of July thing in downtown Jefferson City, just sweating it out. And I think they gave me like a wagon, and I was like rolling it around trying to sell soda to people, and I just remember being absolutely hot and miserable, and just it's hot on 4th of July. It just is.
It just is. Well, and everything being blamed for former NFL quarterback Ryan Mallett played ball at Arkansas, by the way. He's one of the several people who have drowned on these beaches along the Florida Gulf Coast, Pensacola, Destin, Florida, and I've thought this is interesting, and then we'll move forward. All of a sudden, Destin, Florida, they had like 9 drownings in a span of just days, John, and they're saying it's one of the deadliest beaches in America because they've had high tides. And listen, when you go to a beach in the Gulf, they have a flag system. Mm-hmm. Hey, green flags, you're good to go. Purple flags, there might be some jellyfish in the water, maybe a shark or two. I don't know. It's the ocean. You never know. That's where they live. We're just letting you know. And then they do red flags if it's dangerous, double red flags. So they're saying the beach is deadly. The beach isn't deadly is what these people are doing. They're going into the water when they're being advised. Hey, you probably shouldn't do that because we're flying 2 red flags. But that's the thing. Oh, it's climate change, and that's why the surf is it's a deadly beach. It's a deadly surf. It's not deadly if these morons don't get into it. It's not deadly. Well,
but you lived by the beach for a while, so you were
on the beach.
Yes.
Right. Oh,
and not far from that
we're
area.
not bragging this morning, but I was hearing the stories of like moms, and I'm thinking the same thing of like Disney World. These people, they save up for their vacation, they go to the beach, and then to have the double red flag, or I don't even know what it is, all week, and you're like, okay, I came to the beach, but apparently we can't get in it all. I mean, I get it that people you should follow, but again, if I'm there on vacation, I really want to go to the beach. And I don't live by the beach. I live in the state that's like furthest from any beach that I'm probably going to get in.
We couldn't get more isolated from an oceanfront beach than right here in mid-Missouri, and I love it. There's Stephanie Bell.
Good morning.
Mr. Brian Houseworth is
it's
here.
Good to see you. Good
Sporting
morning.
an old Kinderhook shirt.
Yes, beautiful golf course.
Amen.
It's a tough golf course, and I've lost a lot of golf balls down there over the last time I played.
Oh, we got a text from Doug just now, too. Sorry about this beach thing.
Oh, okay. We're going to get into, I think we should open up the mailbag here. There's producer Hannah.
Hello.
Here's John Marsh. You going to be able to hit up the Capitol and go see the Lombardi?
Yeah, I plan to swing by here late this morning and all.
And I'll be out there until 3 o'clock today. I'm Branden Rathert, 874-9390.
Letters.
All right, let's open up the mailbag.
I get letters.
We don't get any letters.
So many letters.
Although we did get one crazy letter one time.
Who's that from?
It was back in I think it was sent to you and Tobler. Outside of that, no.
Okay.
Yeah,
that one we don't talk about. But
well, apparently we do. that we had to call the police department.
Yes, absolutely.
We don't need to go into details on that one.
Yeah.
How come I haven't heard about this?
The reality is,
I don't think so.
reality is that protocol was followed. But yeah, emails primarily what we receive
From PETA.
From PETA and yeah. All right, text 874-9390, 874-9390. Just a couple of samplings of what folks are saying on text this morning.
Well, Doug sent us some beautiful pictures from the beach. Apparently, he and his family were down in Destin on Saturday, the last week, I guess. And he said there was only double red flags the entire time. And they had their first tornado ever. So it sounds like riptides are really bad, and if you're headed that way, you might be spending a lot of time outside the water. Tara said they're headed down to the beach, Fort Walton, next week, and yeah, they don't plan to swim in the double red flag water.
874. Yeah, and here's the thing: with double red flags, like they highly encourage you not to go in. You can get fined exorbitant amounts of money, but people say, if I want to get in, I'm getting in. I'm an American. It's kind of like, all right, but there's potentially consequences.
I mean, it wouldn't be the first time that Americans have ignored red flags.
Well, Brandon brought up purple flag, and boy, if you've ever been tangled with a box jelly, you'll know that's about as serious as it gets.
I got tagged by a jellyfish and fire ants in the same day.
Oh boy, there's your Gulf Coast.
Which was worse?
Karma.
Probably the fire ants. Here's why. So I got wrapped by jellyfish snorkeling one day, and then at the end of the day, it's night. It's a Sunday night. I'm getting ready to get back in the thing, and I'm in the backyard peeing, actually, with the puppies. And all of a sudden...
You're peeing with the puppies.
And all of a sudden, so when I got tagged by this jellyfish, it's sharp, it's hot, it stings, it itches, it's not... And they wrap their arms, and it's all over. So that night, I'm out in the backyard, and I'm like, okay, I'm feeling way better. And then all of a sudden, I start feeling stuff on my feet. And I'm like, dang it, this jelly... And I look down, and I'm covered in red ants. Incidentally, a woman just died in Georgia.
They're terrible.
Yeah, after stepping on a pile of red ants.
What? You can die from ants?
Yeah.
Did you pull that story just to make us feel bad about the fire ants thing?
Unfortunate timing, actually. I didn't know this was coming up this morning.
Okay, I revised my answer on worst ways to die. I think fire ants is up there on the list for sure. Doug says, okay, you can't really even get in the water. There's lifeguards every 100 feet. Keeping you from getting in the water.
You can
so
get
if you had a vacation planned this summer and you see this, do you go somewhere else?
So here's what would happen down there. These people, most of the people that would die from drowning were people that were going in trying to save somebody else. More often than not, it would be the person that was originally having issues. They usually end up being fine. It's people that are going out and trying to save other people.
Can we read
the boneheads who get into it with don't pay attention to the reps and haven't ever had any experience with them.
Well, I'm a farmer from Iowa. I got this. Listen, an former NFL quarterback died in Ryan Mallett. Played ball at Arkansas. We know who he is. He couldn't handle it.
Can we read Randy's text? Or is that giving too much away?
Go ahead.
So Randy texted us. He said, "Good morning, gang. We all wanted to thank you for your patience while we redo your driveway and approach."
We want to thank you for redoing the driveway and approach.
Yeah, he's letting us know what machinery we're going to have on site today and telling us that there might be some delays here in our parking lot, some little traffic backups. So thank you, Randy.
And Randy says him and the crew have been listening for a while and that they like the show and the station. So.
Yeah, and they've been out there for a few days, and we didn't. Hopefully we'll catch up with you all. Little Dixie?
Yeah, and he said that they've been seeing us go in and out of the parking lot. Randy, why haven't you said anything, dude?
Well, because it gets weird in person, and I sent you guys a video yesterday.
They're busy.
Well, yeah, I've been doing some work at my house recently, and it's happened a couple times. But yesterday, I caught it on video. I race home from the show. I get there, and what's blaring in my home? Gary Nolan and Brian Hansen turned up to like level 27, and it was really fun. And I'm embarrassed because I'm like, oh, I guess I'm pretty sure our show was just on, but it's cool. But I also kind of feel like I'm sneaking up on people when I hear this station on, when I catch them listening live. But it was fun.
We got a text from my dad, by the way. He says, show sounds pretty good this morning, especially Hannah and Stephanie and John.
He didn't say counting down till Gary Nolan.
Till 9 a.m.
Text on food this morning. We did What's Hot with Hannah. Has to do with Cola Chup. Pepsi's making a ketchup or
Cola
something.
Chup.
They need to come up with a new name.
Yeah, that's not a very good name.
Richard says, was he the one that said peanut butter and bacon?
Yeah.
Ooh.
He said peanut butter and bacon or peanut butter and banana sandwiches are where it's at. I can get behind.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
I can get behind the peanut butter and banana. Not sure about the bacon.
The old Wagon Wheel Drive-In in Sedalia used to be famous for their peanut butter burger.
Edina, Missouri has a store that y'all been taught. We were talking about the stuff that you would find, like the mayo chup and all the whole with Kraft mayonnaise. They did all those crazy conglomerations with mayonnaise and mustard and all that. And I was joking about being, some little Piggly Wiggly, Northwest Missouri, almost Iowa. And in this little Piggly Wiggly in the middle of nowhere, Missouri, is a discount bin that I'm pretty sure probably had items that had been discontinued since like 2008 or something. But that's where you'd find some of that stuff. Tim says Edina, Missouri has a store exactly like that.
Really? See, and I feel like all of these combos, like I literally remember as a kid playing that game. We were so bored. I remember I used to go to my mom's work and she had like a cafeteria, and we would take like the weird packets and stuff and like dare each other, like mix up weird stuff with soda and mayonnaise and stuff and dare each other, like try to eat this. And I feel like now they're like slapping a label on it and they're like, here, now pay money for this.
Coming up a few minutes from now here on the show, Charlie Phillips. I don't know if you've heard about this guy. He is a special Olympian from Missouri, and I wanted to highlight this in the mailbag, too. Listener Roger texted us early. Charlie Phillips, he's been on fire on social media. He's a special Olympian power lifter, and he was being interviewed by Tim Tebow, and he's given these great interviews, and he's rambunctious, and he's filled with joy, and he is here on the show at 8:10 this morning. Hope you join us for that. But Roger reminded us, hey, focus, too, on how good of an athlete he is. Not just a special athlete, not just a special Olympian athlete, but how good of an athlete Charlie Phillips is. Roger, thank you for that text. Charlie Phillips here at 8:10. Coming up 5 minutes from now, Musk v. Zuckerberg. Uh-oh, Steph, mom's getting involved now. For real. True story.
for many of us is that there isn't anything being done to attend to the gravity of the situation.
Julie Ryan, Como Safe Water Coalition, chatting with KOMU Channel 8, saying nothing is done. They're having issues with water pressure in a subdivision in Colombia. And this is an ongoing thing, and I bring that up because I wonder, do other people, we talk about Stephanie and I, whenever Joe got elected, Stephanie and I were really big. One of the immediate problems that Stephanie and I knew was going to happen was immediately we were going to take a hit on the worldwide stage because you had all these other countries, Russia, hence the invasion of Ukraine. Whenever Joe became president, that's why they invaded Ukraine, because of Joe's weakness. That is a fact. That comes from NATO. That's not a talking point. But all these countries, they look at America now, and they're kind of like laughing and pointing fingers because we don't have that same stature anymore. I wonder if mid-Missouri communities look at Columbia and point and laugh at Columbia because you got the mayor who is not very supportive of police. She'll say in the news she is. Her actions on Twitter show otherwise. You have problems with it took Columbia how many years to take man's very first invention, the wheel, and put it onto a trash can and say, hey, let's have a roll cart. And now they continue to have issues. And this thing with the water issue in this town is specifically not just the issue, but as you heard this Julie Ryan say, is that they don't understand the gravity of this situation.
And there's been times where they can't even use the water. One of my girlfriends called me last week. She's like, yeah, our water is pretty much out. And she's like, now I have these sweaty boys and it's hot outside and, they're raising my rates and I can't even use my water.
Good thing it's not going to be real hot over the next few days. But I start to wonder that, John, like Jeff City and Fulton and California and Macon and Moberly, they're all just kind of looking at Columbia's leadership going, my goodness, you guys. Welcome into the show. Wake Up Mid-Missouri. Elon Musk, Mark Zuckerberg, Twitter, Facebook, of course, the business battle, and then Mark and Elon. Apparently, they're going to do a cage match or something. It's just crazy.
I'm surprised with all your time at the gym that you're not challenging them back.
I thought about it.
Okay, no, you did not.
No, I didn't.
You don't like confrontation.
I don't like getting punched in the face. It's been a few years since I've been punched in the face, and
We can change that.
You're not getting punched in the face in the MMA stuff. You're what do they call it? Rolling or you're
slapping?
No,
getting the crap beat out of you.
You're getting an arm bar
ground and pound.
Yeah, you're getting
put on some gloves and go slap that other dude.
You're getting your joints bent in the wrong direction until you tap out, basically, isn't that?
MMA, they throw a lot of punches too.
Yeah, that's true.
So anyhow, Mark and Elon, they were going to get in a cage match and put a lock on it and let them have at it.
You do fight barefoot, though, so you would have that advantage.
I'll kick somebody in the baby maker and win that race fight right away. But apparently now the moms are involved.
Elon's mom is stepping in, and she's saying, she tweeted out, no joking, fight with words only, in armchairs, 4 feet apart. The funniest person wins.
Come on, you're tech guys. You don't need to be getting into a cage and beating the crap out of each other.
Apparently they're both, though, pretty fit guys. Yeah. I think the mom should stay out of it. I think you should let boys be boys.
How about the moms get in the cage match? Let the moms.
There you go.
That, John, that I would pay to watch. We appreciate you joining us here this morning on Wake Up Mid-Missouri.
what is happening.
Broadcasting live from the Zimmer Communications World Headquarters.
Great news for the American people.
This is Wake Up Mid-Missouri with Branden Rathert, featuring Stephanie Bell, News Director Brian Houseworth, John Marsh, and Hannah, the producer.
This is why we listen to you.
Get ready, pal.
And now, here's your host, Branden Rathert.
Shapley, who is still working for the IRS, told us that even before President Biden took office, he was directed to avoid leads involving Hunter's father.
There were certain investigative steps that we weren't allowed to take that could have led us to President Biden.
And you wanted to take them?
We needed to take them.
There were certain steps, this agent telling CBS News, I think that's almost the biggest thing, John. CBS News. He told CBS News there were things there that would have taken us to the president. The president. Did you vote for Joe Biden? There are things that could have taken them directly to the President of the United States of America as it relates to selling the Biden family name for money and political influence into some countries that, by the way, ain't exactly friendly with the United States. Do you grasp the dangerousness of the situation? And Hannah, is dangerousness a word?
I think so.
I think so, too. It's certainly more of a word than opinion.
Opinional? Opinional. GTS. I say opinional is a word, and Hannah says Google agrees with me.
Merriam-Webster.
Opinionals are when you're standing in front of the urinal and you come up with an opinion. That's what that word makes me think of.
And Stephanie, I thought, made an inch.
It sounds like urinal, and it sounds made up.
Opinional.
Like a confessional.
Urinal, confessional, and opinional. They're all the same. But Stephanie Bell, I thought, made an interesting point earlier. We'd like to play the audio that we've been highlighting for almost 8 years now, whatever it's been. Trump, this is it for Trump. Everything, every little thing he did. This is it. This is really going to be. And Steph says, I might be doing the same thing here. There's some liberal radio station somewhere they're clipping every time I'm saying, hey, maybe they've got something there on Hunter. But it has been kind of a point of frustration, namely with the mothership in Fox News, and you get these breaking news updates all the time when you're this, and there's nothing there. But I think it sounds like progress. Welcome into the show. There's Stephanie Bell.
Good morning. I'm not holding my breath.
Does it sound, and I'm not trying to listen, I'm mostly an independent conservative. But do I sound like I'm towing a party line when I come on? I think they're getting closer to Hunter. I sound like a Republican talk show host. Just get them.
I feel like you lost your hat this morning. That usually you've got your tinfoil hat on and you're like, it doesn't matter what this guy can do, what this guy does. He can put it all in black and white in a text message to a foreigner. Hey, we're bribing you right now. Give me the money. And they're still not going to go after him.
Yeah, and Jerry Nadler, he has, when reporters ask him about it, he always shakes his head. It's just, we'll see. But the reality is, I do believe former President Trump will be the nominee, but I do believe that the current president, Joe Biden, will still be tough to beat next year.
Steph's right. Joe can say this stuff out loud.
I started off without you. And I sold a lot of state secrets.
He said that. Now, gaslighting and coverage, news outlets, do you realize? As a matter of fact, I was on Tobler's show yesterday. Randy Tobler hosts the Tobler Show. Really good show, weekdays, 4 o'clock. And we were talking about this. Snopes, after we covered this on the show, he said, Biden's saying it. I sold state secrets. After he said that, Snopes did a fact check. Conservatives are saying that Joe Biden said he sold state secrets, which he did. But these news outlets, they're running cover for him. Well, he was just kidding around. That's the news outlets. Mm-hmm. Blows me away. And this is why you should be watching the show on our Wake Up Mid-Missouri channel, because I'm wearing my tin foil hat that I got from Glenn Beck. Welcome into the show, and we're in for a real treat. We are getting ready to meet a really cool dude. His name is Charlie Phillips. He is a Special Olympian, just repped Missouri as a power lifter, and this kid he's like taking social media by storm. I cannot wait to talk to this guy. But first, I do want to introduce you to Stephanie Bell. Good morning, Steph.
Good morning.
Mr. Houseworth.
I'm looking forward to hearing from Mr. Phillips. That'll be great.
Yeah. There's producer Hannah.
Hello.
And producer Hannah did... Man, I got to tell you something. I don't want to get too inside baseball here, but producer Hannah did one of the sweetest things for me yesterday. And it just really, Seriously, and I don't know if you know how much this made my day, but it made my heart smile, which is interesting because Hannah doesn't do stuff like that. Hannah's Toby Keith, me, I. That's not true. But it just...
I'm just usually broke.
It was super cool. I want to share that. There's my good bud, John Marsh.
Good morning.
I don't want to share this before we meet Charlie real quick, but I got two really good friends in this world. One of them is named Stuart. And he says he's not had the opportunity to meet you yet, but I'll read this personal text to my cell phone, which came in on my number at 573-922-1128. It's my personal cell. John Marsh sounds like a pretty cool guy. It's from my friend Stuart. All right. I'm
Thanks,
Branden.
Stuart.
Yeah. I've introduced you to Stephanie and everybody. There's John. My name is Branden Rathert. Special Olympics Charlie Phillips, young man. And he comes from Savannah, Missouri. If you were in KC, you'd hop on to I-29 and you'd head about an hour north, and there you'd be in Savannah, Missouri. Population of about 5,000 people, and that's where Charlie Phillips lives, and that's where he plies his trade as an Olympic weightlifter. He has taken the social media world by storm because of some of the things that he's done with some well-known personalities in sports. Charlie, welcome into Wake Up Mid-Missouri on 93.9 The Eagle and 104.5 News Radio, 950 KWOS. How you doing this morning, man?
I'm doing good. I'm pretty tired. You guys woke me up while I was sleeping.
Sorry, Charlie. But you've had a busy few days. You were recently competing in the Special Olympics. There was a parade in Savannah, Missouri in your name. So let's start with the parade. Tell us about the parade, Charlie.
Oh, so it was pretty cool to see everyone. It was a great turnout to see everyone. See a few of my teammates, not from the country, but from basketball, and seeing a few of my coaches, not from the country, but my basketball coaches, and seeing the few people around the community. That was amazing, and it was cool to see everyone with the American flag out, and it felt amazing.
So it was amazing, all these people showing up in Savannah, former coaches, and all those people showing up to celebrate Charlie Phillips. And I want to ask you, Charlie, when you learned that you were going to the Special Olympics to compete as a weightlifter, how did that make your heart feel?
Actually, I'm a powerlifter. Weightlifting and powerlifting are two different sports.
Fact checked by Charlie. All right, brother. But how did you get into why that sport?
So, and I'm not from Missouri. I live in Missouri. I was statewide event at Villanova, and I think I was 10 years old. Yes, I was 10 years old, and there was a rain delay, so we had to wait inside Villanova, and I saw powerlifting going on in one of the halls of Villanova, and I said, I want to do that. So my dad grabbed the back of my shirt and said, no, you're doing this sport right now. Do that when you get a little bit older. So when I hit 18, after we moved from Pennsylvania to Missouri, when I hit 18, I said, after I moved to Missouri, I started powerlifting. Yeah. And 8 years ago, from there, I started powerlifting and never quit that sport since. And I will never quit.
All right, Charlie Phillips, Special Olympian, joining us this morning here. And by the way, because we're running out of time here, I want to make this quick. But he had an interesting exchange with Tim Tebow. I want to find out about your meeting with Andy Reid too.
Yeah, Charlie, we appreciate your time. Very anxious to hear about Tim Tebow. You know, not only do you do some great work, and what you did in Berlin is just incredible, and Tim Tebow recognized that. But also, you volunteer with the Special Olympics Missouri. You volunteer as well with Meals on Wheels and a local food kitchen, I believe, in Savannah, and an animal shelter. What's that like?
So the area office is nice. My boss, she does this stuff online, and I do a physical work. she's a brains, I'm a muscle, and but Meals on Wheels is nice. Like I go to all, not gonna be mean, but I go to all folks' home, give them the meals, and they have the name on the meals. I take the meals with the name on and give it to the person, and it's wonderful. I'm giving back to the community. The community gives back to me. Why not I give it back to the community? And the animal shelter is pretty cool. I see a lot of animals in cages, and it's not fair. I have seen a lot of animals in cages.
And you get to, and I love that, Charlie, that you're saying you're giving back to the community. We're very big fans of that here on Wake Up Mid-Missouri, a Wake Up community, giving back to the community. Before we let you go, we love you, Charlie, and I've seen some of the video clips. You've been gone viral on social media. You got to meet Andy Reid, head coach, Kansas City Chiefs, couple of Super Bowl victories, you and him hanging out, Lombardi Trophy. What did you tell Coach Andy Reid?
I'm an Eagles fan, and it was wonderful to meet Tim Tebow. He's a really nice guy.
Yeah, he's a good dude. Charlie Phillips, he is from Savannah, Missouri. He is a power lifter. As I always fact checked, he's not a weightlifter. He is a power lifter.
And I have medals for you guys.
Yeah, and he got plenty of medals. Charlie, piece of advice that you would like to give to our listener this morning in leading a happy, fruitful, productive life?
Just follow your dreams. It doesn't matter if you're, it doesn't matter what you do. Just follow your dreams. And if you follow your dreams, success, and achieve your dreams, you'll be happy. And the outcome is wild work, wild effort, wild blood, wild sweat.
A lot of work, a lot of blood, a lot of sweat, a lot of effort. Charlie Phillips, everybody here in Mid-Missouri.
And hold on, I'm not done yet.
Yes, sir.
And put the time, effort, and all this stuff that you want to do. If you could achieve your dream, you'll be so freaking happy.
Amen, Charlie.
And don't quit. And don't give up on your dreams. Just keep on working hard.
All right. Can I go now? Is it my turn to talk? Charlie, we love you, man. Maybe we'll check in with you again and say hello. We appreciate you, Charlie. We appreciate your time. Thanks for letting us wake you up.
You're welcome. I was past asleep, and I heard my phone ringing. And I said, oops, I'm in trouble.
Oops, I'm in trouble. There's Wake Up Mid-Missouri. That is Charlie Phillips. Coming up, we're going to be doing Morning Bell business news. Little twist only Stephanie Bell can give you.
Well, there was a healthcare mystery recently. United Health Group, which watches the costs of healthcare for insurance purposes, was saying, hey, there's a lot more people using the healthcare system. What is going on? And I think the mystery has been solved.
All right. Well, we're going to solve it. Stephanie is. She's putting on her Sherlock Holmes.
So about 2 weeks ago, United Healthcare said essentially medical costs are rising. The reason those costs are rising from United Health Group was that more older Americans are having surgeries. And that caused a lot of health insurer stocks to fall. Again, this was about 2 weeks ago. Everyone kind of nervous about these rising costs. And everyone's thinking, well, what is going on that's causing all these older Americans to have all this surgery? And yesterday, I believe, a new report came out from, I believe, UBS. And they said, we've cracked the code. We know what's up, why these older people need more medical attention.
Climate change.
Close.
Really?
Pickleball.
More and more the seniors are playing pickleball and they're getting hurt.
So between 2010 and 2019, there were almost 30,000 pickleball injuries. Most of pickleball players are older. And the participation in the sport doubled in 2022 and skyrocketed more than 158% in the last 3 years. They said majority of these injuries are strains, sprains, fractures, contusions, most of them caused by slipping, tripping, falling, or diving. Who is diving in the game of pickleball? This is what I need to know.
My dad and your dad, roughly the same age. I cannot imagine my dad at his age diving for anything.
No. Yep. I mean, think about Joe Biden, right? Like, he's not out there on the pickleball court. But apparently, more than 90% of the patients were 50 or older. These are the folks that are getting injured playing pickleball. Of course, it's popular among young people. I have never played, but I'm going somewhere soon that has pickleball courts, and my kids are convinced that we're all going to play pickleball. I'm going to be on extra alert because I don't want to be one of these statistics about injuries.
You're 29. You're not going to get hurt. Like in your 50s. You said that incidentally. My ears perked up. Talk about the number of people. It's a number of people that are getting injured over the age of 50. I start to come to grips with my own mortality, John. I realize I am in that demographic that Stephanie Bell is talking about.
But I think as we, you always, you get these business analysts and there's always some like really complicated math answer. And they're like, oh, these stocks are falling. Healthcare costs are rising. And it seems this like big macro level problem. And people are like, maybe it's just pickleball. But it is a big industry and a lot of people are going all in. We've seen like big sports stars investing in pickleball, communities and resorts investing in pickleball courts. And now apparently, I've heard it about other activities, trampolines and things like that, they can cause additional injuries. I never would have guessed about pickleball, but
there's a Columbia athlete who's a big pickleball player, like nationally ranked.
I think Ashland.
He was on the show 4 years ago, Hannah? 4 years ago? I don't know. Young kid, I think he was like 19, and he was like the 15th ranked pickleball player on planet
Dylan Frazier.
Earth. And he comes in and we're talking like, man, 15th on the entire planet. And we asked him, like, how long you been playing? He said, 6 weeks.
And he's actually an Ashland native.
Okay. 6 weeks, and he was already one of the best on the planet. Coming up, so we were fact-checked by the Special Olympian, Charlie Phillips. And another fact-check on something that I said earlier this morning. It's coming up 5 minutes from now.
I think just local news is like the most
30s. Yeah, Toby Keith, the beer for my horses. Talk about me, I. He had big hits like back in the early 90s. I'd seen him a couple of times back the day before, and he was big then. Blew up. Anyhow, we mentioned him. I'm a big fan of Toby Keith, specifically because of that song and how much it applies to the world of politics. These people, I want to talk about me, I, and this arrogance and this self-centeredness. But he's been recovering from stomach cancer, and apparently he's going to be okay. He's going to be touring soon, so if you're a big Toby Keith fan, good news there. He says he's okay. And apparently, and I've never been, I don't know if anybody here around here has ever been, I don't know where the locations are, but he has restaurants. Toby Keith's I Love This Bar and Grill, or he's got at least one. I think it's in Oklahoma, but apparently on the menu is a fried bologna sandwich. Welcome into the show. That's got Houseworth all excited.
Sounds really, really good.
Do you like the fried bologna?
I've not had it, but it sounds fantastic.
It's not.
Okay. Wow, okay.
I'm not a fan of...
Tennessee ribeye, they call it.
Wow, okay.
Welcome to the show. Wake Up Mid-Missouri. That, of course, is Brian Houseworth.
Great interview with Charlie Phillips. It was really nice. I'm glad he was able to join us.
And I like he gave us a fact check, by the way. I said he was a weightlifter.
He gave you a fact check.
Gave me, and we have another one we got here on the show earlier this morning regarding something that we said here earlier on the show. There's John Marsh.
Good morning. Yeah, Charlie came back with 3 silvers and a bronze from the International Special Olympics Games in Berlin in powerlifting. That's quite the accomplishment.
Yeah, it is.
And what was really cool is before he went, so Charlie Phillips, he was on the show at 8:10. You'll be able to hear this on the Wake Up Mid-Missouri podcast, Wake Up Mid-Missouri on demand anytime, all the time. And the really cool thing, you go to the websites, kwos.com or 939theeagle.com, and you can listen to the show. And it's like the Reader's Digest version. It's condensed. It's all good stuff. It's all material. But if you'd be able to get onto the websites, check out the conversation that we had with Charlie Phillips. Just a neat kid. But before he went, he said he didn't even care about winning gold. He said he just at least wanted to stand on the podium and do what some other great Olympians have done in the past. Great conversation. There's producer Hannah.
What up?
Great picture of producer Hannah on the Wake Up Mid-Missouri Facebook page.
It's my best angle. The back of my head.
Yesterday, waiting on a decision from SCOTUS regarding student loan repayment, and Hannah's out in the green room. She's watching TV, and she's got her phone, and she's just doing. And I think unbeknownst to her, I took a picture. We posted it on the Facebook page.
You know how many people walked by and asked me what I was doing?
How did you answer that question? Incidentally, did you answer it honestly?
Yeah,
I'm wallowing.
Waiting. Stephanie Bell is here too.
Good morning. I think you're going to be waiting a little bit longer at this point, but I mean, why? I think that case is closed.
Should be an easy one, we would think. Today, maybe tomorrow. We're expecting maybe tomorrow a decision. Of course, we thought yesterday we might get that decision. We did not. But I'll tell you this, Gary Nolan, who's coming up here in about 20 minutes, happens to be my dad's favorite show. He is on it. My name is Branden Rathert. Welcome into the show. And I want to say this really, I just thought it was super sweet. Yesterday, Hannah, who...
It was, in fact, super sweet.
It was.
Yeah. Hannah, she's getting ready to go get some coffee, and she says, do you want something? And it caught me off guard because Hannah has never done that.
That is not true.
To my recollection, she has never done that.
Conveniently.
But anyway, she says, hey, I'm going to get some coffee. Would you like some? Now, I don't drink coffee.
Which is why I don't typically ask you.
And also, what you were drinking yesterday wasn't coffee. You were drinking like a milkshake.
So
come on.
So
I'm like, yeah, because I got some things going on today, and it's going to be, I could probably use some extra. And I just drink tea in the morning. And
we had a staff meeting, and you know, Branden has a hard time staying awake during those. So I was looking out for him.
Yeah. So she says, can I get you something? And I'm like, yeah. And so she said, I
was caught off guard.
So I think she was asking, and she didn't expect, you know, when you say, hey, you're moving this weekend, Brian, do you need any help? And then you say yes, and then I say, crap. I was just offering to be nice. I didn't think you would take me up on it, and I think that's what was happening here.
Well, yeah, I was almost asking to be a smartass in a way, because the answer is always no. When I say, hey, Branden, do you want one of my frou-frou coffee drinks? And it's immediately no when I usually ask it. I was surprised that you said yes.
And I said yes. And I said, but I should have been honest. I should have said, just Just make it a chick drink. Because I said I want chocolate and caramel. And
I asked you, I said, do you want like a regular coffee with flavorings mixed in? Or do you want what I get, which is really frou-frou, fancy, like latte situation? And you grinned. You said, I want the frou-frou stuff.
And I don't ever do that. Ever. But I did. It just made my heart smile. I just thought it was a really...
and you liked it.
It was good. It was a really, really sweet gesture. We got to run some stuff through the Ministry of Truth here on the show. First of all, we got fact-checked by our special Olympian, Charlie Phillips. I said he was a weightlifter. He corrected me. He's a power lifter. The other thing, apparently, we need to be corrected on this morning. I wondered aloud, and I mean this, and I feel, listen, I love Colombia. I really do. And I really do. There's so many opportunities to do interesting things. The politics, obviously, there's a lot of crap. There really is. But ultimately, I love Colombia. But I was talking about, I wonder if Colombia feels like the United States of America. Because United States of America, Steph's been on this since day one, since January 21st, 2020, when Joe said unity and all that stuff. Remember that from the White House? Remember unity? Yeah. We knew that we took a hit on the worldwide stage. We know that all the other countries in the world, over the past 2.5 years, they now look at us and they laugh. We're a butt of jokes on late night TV. Countries like Russia and China and other countries that don't especially like us, we have taken a hit on the worldwide stage. And you have these world leaders in other countries in effect, and I love my country too, okay? But they're standing around and they're laughing and pointing at America. There's America. And I wonder if people in towns like Boonville and Sedalia and Fulton, Jeff City, Lynn, if they're all like pointing at Colombia, like people are pointing at the United States of America. I was joking about the problem. Now they have a water problem that they can't seem to fix. People are getting upset. You have a mayor who says some pretty nasty things, in my opinion, about police enforcement.
I do have a story that she's responding and really takes success. Not nasty, but disagrees with what Mr. Minshew said.
Randy Minshew,
She pushed back.
Former mayoral candidate said some things, but her tweets and she's. And she says, and she can talk about what she does in city council, but what she does personally on her Twitter page says the exact opposite of, well, again, that's that lying. It's that gaslighting that progressives, people like the mayor of Columbia does. They lie to us. I support police. Well, your Twitter page says differently. That's that gaslighting word that we talk about. They're trying to get you to believe an alternate reality. That's what people in sick, dysfunctional relationships do. And the mayor of Columbia is doing that. So you know the problems that they've had in Colombia. 3 revenue streams for the park system. They can't take care of that. The water thing now in a neighborhood. All these other issues. And the roll cart thing, which went on for years. And I said, think about this. Leadership, and the names are interchangeable. So this is not all on the mayor of Columbia. This has been going on for years. It's just the progressive, whoever the progressive is, and the mayor or whatever city council. And I said it took Columbia years for them to take man's very first invention, the wheel, and put it onto a trash can to make they couldn't figure that out, man.
And we still don't have the consultant yet. That's coming too.
The consultant or the educator? Because we were going to get an educator to teach us how to use the roll cart.
It's basically the same thing. Basically, and I still don't have an exact amount. Brandon asked a very good question here, and I have an answer to this. You were asking, what are people in Boonville and Fulton and other towns, what are they saying about Columbia? I would direct our listeners to the Columbia Police Department Facebook page this morning. Read the comments, because there are people from those towns, but from Columbia and Jeff City responding. But they're not talking about roll carts. They're not talking, although the mayor does get a little criticism on there. They're really not talking about progressives per se, but the biggest concern is the crime, the homicides. Particularly this last one, really in the middle of the day, and guys flagging down cars. That folks, just look at the Columbia Police Department Facebook. I think you can read it for yourself. Somebody actually calls Columbia Little Chicago on there, and they're concerned. And again, somebody out there knows who did it. Out there knows who did it. But the problem is no one has come forward. And the fact is that the Jefferson City Police are now involved, and they won't elaborate. I'm guessing that, well, I don't want to guess. I think that speaks for itself. There could be people from other jurisdictions allegedly involved. But someone knows information, 573-875-TIPS. But those comments are powerful. People are concerned about the crime. There is no question about it.
And the crime, and people say little Chicago, San
That's
Francisco,
what one person said.
And we see what happened. I mean, you have businesses, stalwart businesses leaving San Francisco. And this is not a problem of the police. The crime in Colombia, now it's summer, crime goes up, but this blatant 4 dudes run along I-70 with guns and whatever, flagging down a ride after they apparently killed somebody. That's not on police. That is on leadership. That is on progressive people like leadership in Colombia, because they know, they look at what happened in St. Louis. They know what's happening in Chicago, and go lenient on the criminals. Don't bust the shoplifters. They know that stuff, and they know that is exactly what Colombia is like. The crime problem is not a problem of police. That is a Colombia of progressive leadership. It is people like, fortunately, Pat Fowler is gone. It's Mayor Barbara Buffalo, whom I personally like. It's people like that and people over the years. It's the leadership. It's that George Soros rainbows and unicorn mindset. It's not a problem of the police. Anyhow, I got fact-checked on the man's first invention. That was the point. That was the point of that story, John.
You did. Mr. Bell was very mad at you for saying that the wheel was the first invention. He said, please tell Brandon that the wheel was not the first invention. Sharp stick or hammer rock was first. According to the interwebs, sewing needles, woven cloth, rope, basket weaving, boats, and even the flute came before the wheel.
But it was the wheel that really got things rolling for other inventions.
All right, I like it.
Let's move forward. Let's do some leftovers here in a few minutes. John, you got some interesting stuff for leftovers?
We always have interesting kind of
get a chance to get to on the show today. So we've been talking about the heat advisory today, high like mid-90s, heat index 100. Tomorrow, overnight low tonight, 75. That's about it. Overnight low, 75. Typically been getting up in the mornings, temps in the mid-60s, 10 degrees warmer tomorrow morning. Tomorrow's high up to 102, and here's why. It's summertime in Missouri. That's why. Feel good Friday, 99. Steph, you said by the time we get to 4th of July, at least a few degrees cooler.
Yeah, I think we're looking at like 95, 96.
And we did get some texts this morning. Couple of areas getting just a quick shot of some sprinkles this morning. But we're mentioning this because we're starting to see some communities here in mid-Missouri. They're enacting burn bans and things like that, and that will also mean a prohibition on fireworks.
The city of California yesterday canceled their city fireworks show that was scheduled for Monday night or Tuesday night.
That's a bummer, man. You know, the other thing I've been thinking about since 4th of July is on a Tuesday this year, and it happens, sometimes in the middle of the week, but it's just weird where it's on a Tuesday, so we've got the weekend, and then there's the Monday we come in for a lot of folks, and then the Tuesday off. So everybody trying to scramble, really trying to find out, how do we celebrate America's birthday? How do we do this thing in one day? And we're coming off a month where we've been celebrating Pride over stuff for an entire month. It just hit me as weird. Marsh, what you got for leftovers?
Well, to follow up on what you guys were saying about the burn bans, City of Avoz has issued a burn ban. No fireworks. Fulton Fire Department, they've got a burn ban. Cooper County's got a burn ban. Just got a text from the mayor of Jefferson City. Ron Fitzwater said at this time they are committed to going ahead with their 4th of July fireworks on the river. So, gosh, as the days go by between now and the 4th, I would bet some other mid-Missouri communities may pull the plug.
Yeah, as we get closer, that's something that's very likely. So you want to might poke around. I know, there's obviously Jeff City, Columbia, and I think even like if you're, depending on what part of the listening area you're in, Rosebud, Missouri, they do a huge fireworks.
Several at the lake.
Yeah. Justin says burnt bologna sandwich with fresh tomatoes, mayo, and Velveeta is heaven on earth. We were talking about Toby Keith recovering from stomach cancer. Toby Keith, the I want to talk about me, I guy, and he's got a restaurant or a chain of restaurants, and one of the things he sells fried bologna sandwiches. Justin says burnt bologna sandwich, fresh tomatoes, mayo, and Velveeta. Cheese. Dusty also says
that's a big deal in Memphis.
Oh yeah, Brian, don't listen to Brandon. Fried bologna sandwiches are great. So I'm in the minority. Steph, you got anything interesting for leftovers for us this morning?
There's some reports about the prescription drug monitoring is on track. So I think it passed back in 2021, but they've been working on implementing it. Missouri was the last state to adopt PDMP, and they're not saying the go live date, but they are saying that it is still on track for being implemented this year.
Of course, that was one of those things. Holly Rader, state senator, Southeast Missouri, and then when she was in the House, worked on for a lot of years, and I always enjoyed our conversations on that because I vehemently disagreed on that. But it's here now, and now there's all 50 states.
That was already in place. Many counties had their own already, even before the state law was enacted.
Yeah, I think like Boone County was hooked up with St. Louis and St. Louis County, so it was something that was basically, and it was something that was important to Holly for personal reasons. Also, I know we've mentioned this, but I do want to mention it one more time. John, what's the hours that we can see our Chiefs trophy today?
The Lombardi Trophy, Super Bowl trophy, compliments of the Kansas City Chiefs, 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. at the